Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for this week's track guide in association with Kireth eSports. This is for Daily Race B around Lago Maggiore. We're in the Group 4 cars, and the car I've gone for this week is the Audi TT Cup, which you can see in the background here with the lovely Kireth eSports livery on. Brake balance, we've gone 5 to the rear, so that's +5, and this car can seem like a bit of a handful in some ways, and that it just doesn't want to turn in, but the main thing I'd say to focus on with this car is that you need to do your braking in a straight line, then start turning in once the car's slowed down. If you can do that, then this car handles like an absolute dream. If you try and turn in whilst you're braking, this car is not going to play ball with you, so do make sure that you're braking, then turning in, then accelerating. If you watch the red dot from my steering input, you'll see that I don't start turning in fully into the corner until the car is really quite slowed down, so bear that in mind. I managed to get a really good qualifying time here, so this was number 5 in EMEA at the time of recording, and should definitely stand up to be a decent quality for later in the week. So let's get into the track guide and break down how it's done. Here we go then, and the first brake marker that we're going to be looking out for is this fencing on your right hand side. So just before the fencing comes to an end, we're going to get heavy on the brakes, start turning in just as you come past the end of the sort of green wall there to your right, down to second gear, and then just give the car a squirter throttle in between. Another dab of brake to make sure you get right over onto this yellow part of the curbing, and gradually feed the power in. You don't want to feed the power in too aggressively there, because the car will understeer off to the left. For this next corner, come right out to the white line on the right hand side, and then just a little lift to get the tyres onto the curb here, and then you want to brake and turn in quite early. You really want to cut as much of this red and white curbing here as you can. You can see the ghost there of the number 1 time cuts it even more than I do, so definitely make sure that you're making the most of the track limits there and cutting across to gain some time. You'll notice that we're shifting up pretty much as soon as the gear starts revving out. And the next brake marker is this black tyre mark just after the end of the curbing on your left. So again, braking in a straight line, trail braking down, and then only turning in once you've got the car slowed down. Clip the inside of this curb, and then you can feed the power in a bit more aggressively here, and you're going to accelerate up the hill into 4th gear. Next brake marker is the tyre mark on the red and white curb here, or the start of the grey tarmac on the right. So you can look at either or. Just a tiny dab of brake, keep the car in 4th, and then gradually feed the power in once you get your left wheels onto this red and white curb. Make sure your left tyres don't go past the grey inner curb here to avoid a penalty, and you can again cut this red and white curbing quite aggressively. You should be up into 5th gear just as you come across that part of the corner there. Now just flat through these S's here, and as we come down the back straight, I'd really appreciate it if take a moment just to smash the like button if you're enjoying the video and it's helping you with your qualifying. Next brake marker that we're looking out for is the 50 metre board, and we're braking not on it but just before it. So just before the 50 metre board, heavy on the brakes. Just before you start coming into this large shadow, you want to be down into 3rd gear, off the brakes, and then gradually start feeding the power in and using all of this curb on the runoff. So make sure that you're not shifting down to 3rd until you get to that big shadow. We're flat through this section, but make sure you turn in nice and early to use a little bit of this white curbing here, up to 5th, and you can again cut this right-hander. Next we're coming up to a pretty tricky little section here. You want to brake just before the 50 board and trail brake down fairly quickly. Get down to 3rd gear so the car comes across onto this curbing, and you can give it a real good blast of power to get the car to come out to the left hand side. Use all this curbing on the left, but then lift to get the car to come across onto this curb on the right, and you see I'm already on the power as soon as the car is on that curb. You can run off onto the left here, as long as your right tyres don't cross the white line, then you're safe to use that. Then just a dab of brake before the end of the curbing here, keep the car in 4th. You see I don't use much brake at all, it's just about sort of 60% brake for a fraction of a second, then straight off and feed the power in and use this runoff here on the right if you need to. That was good enough for a 202.4, so it was the 5th time in EMEA at the time of this recording. So I was really pleased with that lap, hope that gives you some good pointers. Please do remember to brake in a straight line, turn in once you've slowed down, and then feed the power in gradually on the corners where mentioned, and you'll have a great lap. Thanks very much for watching. Do hit the like button if you've enjoyed, and good luck with your qualifying.